The young Buckies just lost against England, and then we thought maybe it would be great to speak to an Englishman this morning. So in studio with us, Jamie Martin, he's the head of City EdTech Cluster and Incubator. A big welcome.
Morning, thank you.
In Afrikaans, goeiemôre.
Thank you.
Jamie, former special advisor on education to the UK government and advisor to education business around the world. So just for background, you initiated the EdTech Open Innovation Cluster and Incubator in Africa. So before we get there, just a little bit of background. You've been in South Africa now since November last year.
That's right.
So just a bit where you come from, what do you do?
Sure. So as you said, my background is really split between being an advisor to the UK government on education policy, where we were involved in quite a radical overhaul of the UK school system, and also working in the business side of education for a number of years, both in London and the Middle East. But both personally and professionally, I was looking for a bit of a new challenge. And I think education in South Africa is nothing but a challenge at the moment. And so I moved out here and looked at ways we could use technology to improve education out here.
And it's actually funny. I've got a lot of friends that's been teachers in England. And I know it's everywhere. Every country's got certain challenges. There, it would have been more that I've picked up discipline. Because of rules. In Africa, we sit with a lot of poverty. It's a total different ball game. So for EdTech, Open Innovation, the cluster and incubator, what is that all about?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right to hit on that, because when we were in the UK, actually, we and the reforms we made weren't that big on technology. And actually, one of the biggest things we did was give teachers more power to control behaviour in the classroom, because it's one of the biggest issues, and actually remains one of the biggest issues. But here, I think that with some of the big problems you have, I think poverty is definitely one. I think the other thing in South Africa is distances. You don't have rural communities who are as remote in the UK as they are out here, for example. You don't have peri-urban settings that are as challenging back in the UK. And I believe that technology could make a big difference. And I also believe that whereas in the UK, a lot of what we'd done was saying, well, we can give more power to people to run their own schools, more power to teachers to make their own decisions in the education system. Maybe the solution here was to say, let's not drive technology from the centre. Let's go out there to teachers and to entrepreneurs and to concerned and motivated citizens and say, what are your big ideas for harnessing the power of technology to improve education in South Africa?
And just practical stuff. If you think you don't get children in London walking 20 kilometres to school or 10 kilometres to school, for you, was it a bit of a shock to see, like the African way in certain rural areas?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've now been sort of working in different African countries, but particularly South Africa, for about the last 18 months to 2 years. And there are some challenges that, coming from my background, I grew up in London as well as working in London, and the other markets I've worked in the Middle East and America. And I'll give you an example. I talked about the way, and there's a lot of innovative technology to one set of guys. We can get Wi-Fi now virtually anywhere. Why can't this work? And they said, well, look, a lot of schools simply aren't connected to electricity. Or you realise that you can get technology into a school, but the teacher's own education has been so limited, or their own access to technology is so limited that it still won't work. No, absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that when I came here, instead of coming and saying, oh, well, I've advised the UK government, I've advised some big international businesses, listen to me, my take on it was, how do I lay a platform so that the people who've grown up in these communities, people who've been working in these areas for decades, can innovate and can come up with their own ideas, and I can simply get behind them and facilitate what they're doing.
And it's actually amazing that you mentioned the Middle East. Again, total different culture, total different school system. It's worlds apart. And even if you don't take America, it's to find a place. The next question is actually Henry's question, because he's our social media guy. But some of your favorite hashtags?
My favourite hashtags. The best education ones to follow, I would say, for people out there are hashtag EdTech, so EdTech. You'll pick up a lot of what I tweet about and a lot of what education people tweet about. And the other one is hashtag EdChat, so EdChat. In terms of South African ones, I simply tend to tweet EdTech South Africa. But I think I noticed actually the other day there was a list of the most Instagrammed hashtags in South Africa. Wow. And they were about different things, mainly politics. But it'd be good if this year or maybe next year, EdTech or education was in those most Instagrammed hashtags.
I've got a couple of questions still, so don't go anywhere, Jamie. And I think there's hope for Africa. 5 days ago, or 6 days now, they said like Kenya internet is faster than
Yes,
America.
I saw that.
And that makes us as Africans very, very, very exciting. As jy net ingeskakel het, we talking to Jamie Martin, a big fighter for Brexit. In the last couple of... I'm just joking. We're not talking politics, we're talking education. But it was an interesting time. Having a hung government at this stage in London. You see, we're very informed on this show. We're just checking everything out. But luckily, you're here in Africa to make a big difference. And we're talking EdTech, so education technology. And you've been an advisor to the UK government, and now you started the Open Innovation Cluster and Incubator in Africa. So you said that you think South Africa can be the center of EdTech innovation for the world. Why do you say that?
I think what I find in South Africa, and the reason I moved here and the reason I'm doing this here, is a unique combination. It's got a extremely innovative entrepreneurial culture. The world's probably most successful innovation entrepreneur is a South African at the moment. And it also has very positive business climate with strong infrastructure and investment. So the business opportunities there, but also there are these great education challenges. If, for example, our office is in central Cape Town, you drive 30 minutes and you are in a peri-urban setting, which faces similar challenges to so many across the continent. Drive a few hours and you are in a rural setting, which faces some of the challenges around connectivity and so on that we were talking about earlier. So what I think is there's an amazing opportunity to sort of do the business side of things and get the innovations going, but there's also this kind of incredible proximity to the challenges you're facing. So I think that is a unique combination in the world. And I think the great need that is here will drive some of the biggest innovations.
Would you argue that South Africans are generally afraid of entrepreneurship, and why?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think what I certainly find is that I find there is a conservatism with a small c that can infect both the business community and the education system. I don't want to push that too far, because I think there are some people doing incredible things, But what I found when I looked at coming to set this up was that lots of entrepreneurs were considering doing things. Lots of teachers were considering moving things into their schools. Lots of investors were considering, investing maybe in education technology. No one was taking the big leap to
implementing
say,
it actually,
this could really change it. Let's go for it. And I find a bit more of a conservatism than you find maybe in the United States or in the UK. So I thought, well, fine, someone's got to do this early stage education technology thing. Someone's got to take the leap. So I'll go for it. And hopefully that encourages more South Africans to take risks and make leaps, whether it's in education technology or other parts of entrepreneurship.
So when you move to South Africa, you stay in Cape Town?
That's right.
Okay,
yes.
That's not really South Africa. It's a different country all by himself. Do you think we advanced enough with technology? But now I also get it. You want kind of data and you want internet, but you can also preload stuff on an iPad or on a technology tablet or device that still can be used in rural areas. Is that the whole concept of EdTech, or is it internet-based?
Big style. One of the really exciting things I think about the next 5 to 10 years in education technology is that the cost of devices is going to be tumbling. We've already seen it in smartphones. People making 500, 1,000 rand smartphones now, and you're going to see that in tablets as well. Now, what that means, exactly as you say, is that you can take a low-cost tablet, you can preload material on it, and in fact material that can work even without a particularly well-qualified teacher, and you can deliver that into a school in a rural area. You can actually deliver it with a battery pack, so you don't even need constant electricity or very good electricity to run it. And you're exactly right. Education technology, I think, will be, but also it has to be, to make an impact, something that can work in settings without amazing internet.
You can also phone Helen Zillis. She can help you get that tablets done. I'm joking. Sy sê dit grappig geweest oor die nuus. Everyone thought she favored her son. Oh, shame. Auntie Helen. We'll send her on a Twitter course. Donald Trump. It's quite funny. Vanessa May, she's not big on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's actually weird. Maybe she's got a team because the Britons do it right. 58% of grade 4s cannot read, and the true matric pass rate is about 40%. Do you still have hope?
Yes, I wouldn't
Even
be
if
here
you
if I
see
didn't.
it. Yeah, of course.
If I don't have hope, I'm in the wrong place.
You're definitely not here for Bafana, although they're on a winning streak at last.
They are, yeah.
They
Well,
are.
no, I saw the Springboks one as well.
Yes,
last week. So
Springboks and
things are
Bafana.
looking up.
Yeah,
clearly.
things are looking up.
So no, I mean, yes, I do have hope. So my big belief in this is that the greatest need will drive the greatest challenge. And no South African who I speak to thinks that education is good enough here at the moment. I don't think the minister would say that. I don't think any parents would say that. What is really clear to me, though, is a complete consensus that education is going to be the thing that drives the future of South Africa, and it's the thing we've got to get right. And therefore, what I believe is, yes, the current matric pass rate, 40%, obviously it isn't good enough that 60% of people leave school not prepared for the workplace, right? So how do we change that? Well, now's the time to make big innovations. And this is why actually I believe South Africa can lead the world. Because look, you look at the UK system, it's not perfect, but it's sort of working. So if you were a parent or you were a teacher, would you take a big risk? Would you introduce a big innovation? If you were a minister, would you do it? Because things are working. Whereas here, things are not working. So therefore, I believe there'll be more people out there innovating and trying things differently.
Yeah. I still have questions, so don't go anywhere. He's the head of a City EdTech Cluster and Incubator. So we spoke about education and its technology, education through technology, making a change in Africa. But do you also see a huge change in career options within the next 10 years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that one of the things we talk about quite a lot is coding and people learning to code. And obviously another big difference between the UK and South Africa is unemployment, and particularly youth unemployment. So in the UK, I think unemployment is currently about 4.5%. It's only about 10 or 12% for young people. Now, in a country where we're looking at it being much, much higher than that, these tech jobs that could open up over the next 5 or 10 years are a huge opportunity. So one of the things that my partners, the Cape Innovation Technology Initiative, and a bunch of other people right across the country are doing is opening up both online and in-person coding schools. And I think that is one of the most promising things for reducing youth unemployment over the next 5 or 10 years in South Africa.
Sure. Problems in Africa, no electricity. And I know you can have a radio that's it's like with a little handle. It's also from Cape Town, and a little torch, just to make light. But you go with a little handle, and it builds up the battery. Do you also work with, I can say, limited innovations like that, but bringing technology?
Yes. So the incubator program that I'm going to found will concentrate on innovations that can go across the market. I mean, I think one of the most interesting things about this is that if you produce something that needs, high quality, top-notch iPhones or top-notch iPads or amazing internet, amazing electricity, there's only a limited audience for it in this country, and there's only a limited audience for it on this continent. If you want to build something which impacts the continent and the country at scale in education, which is what I want to do, then you have got to work in settings where electricity and internet connectivity is problematic.
That's the thing. I think it's giving someone just like if you say iPad, but it's a 12,000, 13,000 thing. It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
If it falls, it breaks. You need a cheaper version.
Yeah.
Changing it. For you, like the next thing for EdTech, the cluster in the incubator. You guys, what's your biggest dream?
Yeah, so we are hoping that next month we're going to open up applications for the first cohort of the cluster. So anyone who has got a big idea or an up-and-coming business in education technology anywhere in the country should apply and go to our website, which is www.edtech.org.za. And we will then select the best 8 applications and we will start those guys on the programme in September. And that comes with R500,000 of programme and R500,000 of direct funding for you to spend as you want.
Sure.
So the idea is that's, that money and that's programme support is coming in at that early stage when no one else is investing. And our big dream is that we do that for 8 businesses every 6 months. So every year there are 16 new EdTech businesses impacting the South African market, trialling their stuff in schools, bringing it to adult learners, taking it in universities, taking it to nurseries, early childhood development. So instead of maybe 1 or 2, making it through with that conservatism we talked about, 16 brand new ideas every year hitting the market at scale. The dream? Well, the dream is that transforms education across this country, and then we take that across the rest of the continent.
Now, I wish we started talking on that point, because I mean, just investing in South Africa, guys, entrepreneurs, opportunities for them. So again, edtech.
It's www.edtech.org.za.
.org.za. So ja, jy gewoon as jy entrepreneur is en jy wil jou idee daar buite kry, jump now. Call Jamie Martin. He will choose 8. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you very much.
You from all the way from Britain believes in Africa. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Ja, great stuff. Wat 'n lekker interview.